resistance matters. We're not telling people to be silent, but we're not telling people to go out and cause problems. We're going to cause good trouble.
A few moments later.
There is not free money right now. Every dollar that is spent has an impact. There's no magic pot that we can tap that does not have an impact on property taxes or other essential city services.
So it looks like Minnesota Democrats are still desperately begging for what I can only refer to as reparations from the federal government, with Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey this week recently alleging that the city's economy has apparently lost $200 million in a single month as a result of the whole ICE situation. In other words, because immigration law was finally being enforced on our streets, our city magically went broke overnight, and somehow, some way, $200 million in activity managed to vanish. To which I have to say, Democrats, I'm not exactly sure that's the argument you think it is, because I know what they're going to say. This is the fault of the Trump administration. We're losing money because he won't stop sowing chaos, reaping division, terrorizing our communities. That's an exact paraphrasing of Tim Walz's rhetoric on all of this. But if you've been paying close attention, you may notice that the math here does not exactly add up, which is a pretty common theme with Minnesota Democrats and their finances. Because first and foremost, please explain to me, if your logic, if your argument here is true, how it could be the case that the deportation of around 4,000 illegal aliens during Operation Metro Surge somehow translates to minus 200 million in a single month. That would have to mean each of these illegal aliens, many of whom have extensive criminal records, most of whom are not huge net tax positives to the economy to begin with, would have had to have been somehow contributing $50,000 to the Minneapolis economy in a single month for that to make sense. It doesn't make sense. Are we simply to believe that half of the Minneapolis population are actually illegal aliens and they all went into hiding in some underground bunker somewhere? Well, I guess that's possible, and that says a lot also about the supposed country, the supposed economy that Democrats love to prop up through slave labor. But even then, I don't necessarily think that's the case. I'll tell you what's really going on here. Minnesota Democrats are still engaged in fraud. Do you see where I'm going with that? Because it's no secret that the state's finances and budget is in a huge crisis. After all, what do you think happens when you allow your treasury to be plundered by Somali criminals for many years on end? And so, isn't it such a convenient way to basically ask for a bailout by saying, oh, because of quote unquote ICE, all of the sudden our city's economy and our state's finances are hemorrhaging, as if that stuff was not happening all along this entire time? And secondly, I would point out, to the extent to which maybe this is true, right? Minneapolis did see an economic slowdown during this whole time period. I would point out that is, of course, entirely because of the situation caused by liberals and their beloved politicians. After all, ICE has been quietly operating in many American cities. Why do you not hear about them? Because we do not have these roving mobs of angry left-wing terrorists who are quite literally disrupting the daily flow of traffic and business in their city, terrorizing random business owners, by the way, actively destroying businesses, harassing people, disrupting economic activity, and there you have it. So in other words, what are Democrats doing, as they have since the beginning of this whole ICE situation? Crying out in pain as they strike you. They're blaming the Trump administration for a situation they entirely provoked to begin with. We bring this up all the time, but who opened the border? It was Joe Biden. It was not Donald Trump. So Donald Trump comes along and responds by saying, okay, we have to fix the mess they created. Then they call us the bad guy. Then, of course, they're obstructing. They're causing all these situations. They're encouraging their voters to go get into physical confrontations with ICE. And then once again, blaming ICE for their own behavior. And now, even after the fact, even now that Operation Metro Surge is done, they're blaming ICE and the Trump administration for the damage they caused. Apparently, it's our fault that a bunch of liberal voters decided to smash windows of random Minneapolis hotel buildings. It's our fault that Minneapolis police decided to stand down and allow a bunch of terrorists to be running the streets. What a ridiculous argument to even make. Nonetheless, we'll tell you all about this story here today, guys. First, though, do us a favor. If you enjoy our content, make sure you hit that like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We greatly appreciate the support, but it also ensures that you can stay up to date with all the latest news and coverage. And that said, take a listen here to some of the details, according to Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, as to how the Trump administration just ruined and bankrupted his city, which I repeat was just doing so well before all of this, right? But ruined and bankrupted it all by simply enforcing the law.
Tracking your tax dollars. Tonight, the city of Minneapolis claims Operation Metro Surge has cost $203 million in lost wages, business earnings, hotel cancellations, and food and rental assistance.
Mayor Frey has called the damage from the ICE operation staggering. Now, these are higher numbers than we've ever seen before. The biggest chunk, $81 million in restaurant and small business losses.
At the Jade Dynasty restaurant just off Lake Street, empty tables and a bottom line that's dropping fast.
So ICE comes to town. How has it impacted you guys?
Big time. People are afraid to come in.
The damage caused by this operation has been staggering.
A sobering report from the city about the economic impact of the ICE surge. $47 million in lost wages for people afraid to leave home and go to work. Nearly $16 million in additional rent assistance needed due to lost household income, and $4.7 million lost from hotel cancellations extended through the summer. Frey says there are some hard choices ahead.
There is not free money right now. Every dollar that is spent has an impact. There's no magic pot that we can tap that does not have an impact on property taxes or other essential city services.
Back on Lake Street, Eric Engie with the Uptown Association says many members say their foot traffic has dropped from 25% to 80%, and he worries about the future.
Some businesses are going to close because of this. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, well, you first of all just gotta love how suddenly Minneapolis politicians become fiscal conservatives overnight. Really, Jacob Frey, you mean to tell me money's not free? It doesn't just get printed on trees, it's gotta come from somewhere. Oh, really? Did you tell that to the Quality Leering Center? Did you tell that to the massive amounts of nonprofit frauds that were being run in your state and your state was giving billions of dollars to? By the way, a cash sum amount much higher than the supposed economic loss that you're claiming here? No, absolutely not. But that goes back to my initial point here, right? They, I would argue, are using this whole ICE situation as an excuse to hide years of mismanagement and their own failures and their own problems and arguably their own crimes, right? You also have to love, too, by the way, how they note that some of that money ultimately goes to quote-unquote rental assistance, aka a form of welfare because people are just too scared to go to work. Oh, really? So you mean to tell me, despite everything that we've been watching, still you're giving out shady welfare payments? I mean, these people haven't changed at all. You notice a pattern from Democrats here, actually. You might think, oh, well, they won't be too fraudulent now because there's too much of a spotlight. No, they're just going to shift the way that they do it, right? They're going to change the strategy, change the rhetoric around it to make it seem completely innocent. So please notice here, at the end of the day, what are they really doing? Begging for more money that they can just go steal, okay? Now, that said, I think we do have to ask the question because I will grant, I think there's some truth in this. There's a lot of truth, actually. There probably was an economic slowdown in Minneapolis as a result of the fact that people were scared to go out and about around the city. People did not want to go to restaurants, for example. They didn't want to check into hotels. People canceled trips into the city. But I have to ask the question first and foremost, why could that be? Because according to Democrats, it's because, well, our city apparently, I guess, has so many illegal aliens and they were patronizing these big, bougie, chic, suave restaurants downtown. No, I don't think that's exactly the case. I mean, don't get me wrong. Maybe it's true. You guys are right. All these people are just doctors and engineers and they're the top earners in our economy. But I'm guessing that's not the case, right? So then why could it be true? Why would you see a decrease in foot traffic? Why would American citizens be so terrified of ICE if not for the fact that, first of all, you brainwashed them to be, because they have no reason to fear these people, but secondly, perhaps more importantly, could it have something to do with the fact that the massive violent mobs of your own voters that you were encouraging, by the way, what have you been telling your people? Go out, get in their face, provoke, incite, agitate. You never condemn even the bad behavior, not just towards ICE agents, by the way, but a lot of the violence that was committed towards ordinary, innocent people who got mistaken for ICE agents. And then this is the result, right? So first of all, let's actually go through this list, first of all, right? As it pertains to businesses, why do we think it could be that restaurants, for example, saw a slowdown in economic gains and lost a bunch of money because people were too scared to go out, too scared to eat out? Could it have something to do with videos like this one right here, where a random group of white male software engineers got mistakenly identified by left-wing mob justice patrols as ICE and got driven out of the restaurant they were staying in for absolutely no reason? And then, by the way, you wonder why people are scared to go out. Is it because of ICE, or is it because of your own voters who are violent terrorists? Check it out.
This is so cool. So cool as in like this has got to be the funniest thing I've ever seen. I know, it's like you feel like a zoo. I've never.
Then why do you care? I'm just trying to enjoy my lunch. If you're not with us, then you're against us. Yeah. So clear. Hi. So clear.
Oh my God. What? We do custom apps for a whole bunch of companies around Minnesota and the country.
Why are you filming?
Because you're filming us. Here. Do I look like an ICE agent?
Yeah, you look like a fucking ICE agent.
Holy fucking Christ.
I don't have anything to do with it.
This is what's wrong with this guy's car.
No, it's not. Because you have no relationship with us. Wait, so do you support? Would you support?
Support what? The way you guys are acting?
Do you support ICE? Oh, okay. Yeah.
The way you guys are, I don't support ICE either.
Bootlicker either way. Then why do you care? Then you should say.
I'm just trying to enjoy my lunch.
If you're not with us, then you're against us. Exactly.
Let us not forget that these are the people currently screaming about due process, by the way. It's very evident they have no clue what those words mean. According to liberals, due process means mob justice. It means you look like an ICE agent, therefore you must be one. If you're not with us, you're against us. Yeah. So much due process. By the way, I would point out that's the actual due process that liberals believe in. That's what Tim Walz and Jacob Frey believe in as well. Because if he opposed it, if he didn't believe in it, then maybe he wouldn't allow his voters, and encourage, by the way, and cheer on his voters as they run around the streets attacking random white guys who they think might be ICE agents. You know, if they really thought, oh, you know, that's a little bit too far, that's not due process, that's very hypocritical of us, they would do something and stop it. But we watched for a month as they refused to, and gave those people their verbal support. Why is it? Because this is the official due process stance of the Democrat Party. But that's besides the point. We've brought that up many times before. Here's what I would point out. Okay, so you wonder why random Minneapolis citizens might have been scared to go outside, scared to go to restaurants. Could it have something to do with the fact that this is what happens when you go to a restaurant in Minneapolis? You just watched economic activity get ruined there on 2 levels. And by the way, there was not a single actual ICE agent present, if you could tell. It happened, number one, because that restaurant lost business because they drove these random software engineers out. Likely a lot of other people are like, okay, wait, I'm too scared to go here now. It seems tarnished. It's scary there. Liberal mobs around there. I'm not going to go. And then secondly, it's highly possible those software engineers who likely could take their talents elsewhere are probably, I would guess right now, looking to move out of Minneapolis because they don't want to be dealing with this either, okay? So there you have a situation, and there's many cases like this, far from alone. We've pointed out different times, by the way, at restaurants. So yet again, here you go. This is economic activity entirely destroyed by liberal mobs that Jacob Frey is apparently blaming the Trump administration for. No, you know how you could have saved that restaurant? You know how you could have saved that economic activity? Enforce the law. Don't allow anarchy and mob justice to rule on your streets. But oh, that's too much. That's asking for too much because that's what you believe in, right? But it doesn't stop there. You want to talk about a decrease in foot traffic around restaurants in major metro areas, because could it also have something to do with the fact that these very mobs repeatedly blocked these streets and blocked traffic and commerce from moving forward? You wonder why you lost money? It's not because of ICE, buddy. It's because of you. Understand? You.
I know. I'm not going nowhere near them. I'm going that way. I know, and it's nothing to do with your work or you personally. It's just a safety issue. We don't let cars through once we have a big crowd like this. I'm sorry about the inconvenience.
Stand right there and let me go that way. I'm not trying to go that way. I'm going that way.
You can go that way on 3032. Is it in between here you gotta go?
The house I'm going to is right past this block.
That's that block.
Why am I about to go all the way around? I'm not going towards them if y'all stand where I can't go that way.
Hey, Jacob, yet again, there's not a single ICE agent present, but economic activity is being disrupted in your city by your own voters. If you care so much about said economic activity, if you're that obsessed with the city's revenue, then perhaps have you considered arresting your own voters when they break the law, when they create mobs in the streets, when they block roads, when they vandalize and break into places, when they assault people? Oh, you haven't done that? Then please shut up about your stupid bailout and shut up about how, oh yeah, ICE is destroying our city's finances. It's garbage. Last point I'll make here. I know this is pretty common sense, but as it pertains to tourism, there's another argument made in the news report. Hey, hotels and rental cars are being canceled, huh? I wonder why that could be too. Could it have something to do with the fact that left-wing mobs night after night were breaking into random hotels and terrorizing people, hoping ICE agents would be there, which they never were? And as it pertains to rental cars, by the way, could it have something to do with the fact that random people in random cars who just so happened to be in dark-colored SUVs got mistaken for ICE agents and harassed by mobs in the streets more times than I can count? I'm just saying.
Just for the record, can random people stop vandalizing my car? I went to the gas station. Y'all, why is this thing coming off my car, right? Look at the one over there. Don't mind that. I hit a deer. Look at that one. I've already had to replace my tires about 3 times because they think I'm an ICE vehicle. Like, you can literally look in there and see the pink seats and the fucking the stuffed animals. Yeah, I got a dash cam and whatnot, but damn. I've literally had to replace my tires 3 times. Look at that. And now I just noticed somebody, like, I'm sick of it. So whatever car list y'all got me on, take me off because I'm not no motherfucking ICE.
Yeah, so folks, this is not rocket science. This never has been. That's why your economic activity is down. That's why you're seeing a decrease in restaurants, rental cars, hotels, even people just going outside and just generally living in the city. Because if simply driving a car in a place that has cold weather and a lot of snow, so a lot of people have SUVs, a lot of people want that all-wheel drive and stuff, right? If that is apparently a capital offense to the mob, then what do you expect to happen, right? Here's the thing, though. I think that deep down, Jacob Frey and Tim Walz know this. There is a calculated reason they are and always have been enabling the mob violence for as long as they could. It's the same exact show as back in 2020. And I think what you're essentially watching is a gigantic insurance fraud. You know, the classic insurance fraud when a business is hemorrhaging money and then you burn it down on purpose because that way the insurance will get the payout. Well, same story here, right? Understand what I'm saying? You have a city here that's hemorrhaging a bunch of money. You have a state that's rocked by a fraud scandal, and it's not just a political scandal. It genuinely has had a massive drain and impact on the state's finances. So we're broke, we're struggling. Oh, the situation arose. Hey, let's essentially allow our left-wing voter base, our own supporters, to go out and engage in that insurance scam, and then maybe we'll get the payout for it, right? Of course, you have to love at the end how Jacob Frey went on to explain, hey, guys, we might have to raise taxes. You know, this is going to have an impact on your property taxes. Oh, really? That's very convenient. I think the answer there, actually, Democrats, is you wanted to raise taxes the entire time. You likely thought that you had to because, instead of actually being financially responsible, you were intentionally mismanaging your state. You want to keep on allowing the welfare fraud, keep on allowing the crime, and what a convenient excuse to make. But hey, now you're not the bad guy, right, Democrats, right? We had to raise taxes because of the economic damage that ICE caused to our city. Oh, wait, they didn't cause the economic damage. Our own supporters did. Well, no, that was about their First Amendment right to protest. No, I don't think that's true at all, actually. I think that the Democrat Party of Minnesota was a criminal organization before all of the ICE stuff started. Okay, we spoke about that a lot. They're in on this, they're engaged in it. And they're still operating like a corrupt political mafia, like a political machine to this very day, just in a different fashion, right? You know, they understood the Somali fraud thing. Okay, maybe that nonprofit money laundering thing won't work anymore. Let's try something different. Let's try a form of mass political government-backed insurance fraud. There you go. There you go. So how ridiculous. No, Tim Walz, we have no interest in giving you reparations. You don't deserve it. You could have taken control of this situation from day one. You chose not to for reasons that were likely very deliberate. And the same thing goes for Jacob Frey. But there you have it, right? Now, it's as usual. It's the Trump administration's fault that we don't know how to govern. We don't know how to manage our city, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, obviously on top of that, ICE got sent to Minneapolis for no reason, right? Totally. There definitely wasn't a gigantic foreigner fraud scandal that triggered this all. And, you know, this definitely wasn't a situation where if we were just responsible and competent and knew how to govern, none of this stuff would have had to happen. No. It's everybody else's fault. Let's not take accountability and let's try to, you know, take people's money and raise your taxes in the process of it. What a joke. But anyways, that said, guys, let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace.